It's a rematch of that epic 2015 World Cup semi-final as South Africa will be taking on New Zealand in the only game in the Cricket World Cup. Match number 25 coming to you from Edgbaston, Birmingham. New Zealand taking on South Africa. And to join us, talk about that game, we're joined by Vettori and Albie Morkel. Gentlemen, good to have you with us on the show. And as I refer to that 2015 semi-final, I'm just going to read out a piece of commentary that has pretty much gone into folklore, especially for New Zealand. Dan, just tell me what your reaction is. Grant Elliott hits it into the grandstand and New Zealand are in the World Cup final. Emotions when you hear that 4 years later?
I just remember Grant Elliott running almost through into the crowd after he'd hit the six. It was pretty amazing. I think obviously the result was amazing, but the crowd, I don't think a New Zealand crowd has ever been so emotional, so excited, even for a rugby game. I think this was almost the pinnacle of a sporting event for New Zealanders for a long, long time.
Same question for you, Albie. When you hear those lines, as a South African, what's going through your mind at the time?
Yes, I was watching that game. It was an amazing game. South Africa had a good run, in the World Cup up to that stage. And once they got McCallum out, we as supporters honestly thought would be in the final. And then Grant Elliott got them over the line. I'll never forget, the boys sitting on the field there crying, grown men crying, heartbroken. So it was a bad day, and I'm sure this game tomorrow, there's a few guys in the team that will still have those scars. So it's going to be an awesome game to watch tomorrow.
Yep, 4 years later, when these two teams meet each other, they come into this fixture with contrasting fortunes. New Zealand undefeated so far in the World Cup. South Africa have just earned their first win of the tournament versus Afghanistan. First up, we'll talk all things South Africa. Albie, your playing 11, Lungi Ngidi has been passed fit, so he comes right back into your 11?
Definitely. I think if he's fit, and by all reports he's 100% fit, he'll come back into that bowling lineup. I think what Björn Hendricks added to the attack was left arm option, which is also, or most of the time, nice to have as a captain. But Lungi, he's definitely a strike bowler, and we're going to need it against that strong New Zealand attack. So if he's 100% fit, Lungi will definitely come back in.
Also in that last game, a big positive for South Africa, Albie, was the way, of course, your openers, that is Quinton de Kock and Hashim Amla, really dug in deep. I'll just show you a few numbers because whenever their openers, that is the opening pair of de Kock and Amla, do well, it more often than not impacts South Africa in winning causes. In wins, 53 innings, 3,204 runs, averaging 61 with the bat. In losses, that average drops to 27.37. Hashim Amla, really, just spending time in the middle, not really caring about the strike rate or anything. You suppose that is a big positive for South Africa from that game?
Yeah, the partnership up front is big for South Africa. Like you said, in the past, they've really scored bulk of the runs, and then that allows guys like Faf and the finishers to come in and put big scores on the board. I think Hashim, after that knock, came in for a lot of abuse. Not abuse, but the people who are criticising him, he batted too slowly. But you have to back the thought pattern of that guy. He's out of form. He's been struggling. So if he feels that's the best way to get him into form again, and that's to go and bat for 80 balls, you have to back that thought pattern. I'm sure anyone would say that time in the middle is much better than time spent in the nets. And with Hashim, having that opportunity to just go out there and not try and score, just bat and try and get some rhythm going, that will stand him in good stead. They're going to be massively important against New Zealand tomorrow, as we know they've got a good bowling attack led by Trent Boult.
Albie, a word on South Africa's bowling, especially it augurs well for the side when Imran Tahir is back amongst the wickets, and also you got Felukwayo as well, and both of them could really target that New Zealand middle order that hasn't been tested so far in the World Cup. Yeah,
New Zealand has played some good cricket so far, but like you said, they haven't been tested yet. They haven't had a close match as such. Also a rain-out game, so I really do believe that South Africa's got the firepower to put them under pressure. Rabada's bowling quickly. It looks like Morris has hit his straps. Felukwayo has been consistent. Imran is bowling well. So, we expected them to do really well against Afghanistan, and they showed that they can, hit their areas consistently and ask questions all the time. I really do believe that South Africa's got the team to beat New Zealand tomorrow, and the little bit of confidence they can take out of that game, I'm sure they'll take it in tomorrow's clash. It's going to be an awesome game.
Dan, a word on Captain Kane Williamson. Didn't have the best of IPL, so I'm saying didn't have the best of build-ups to the World Cup, but he's slowly but surely finding his groove now.
I think so. I think if you look through the IPL, he was out of the team early on due to injury. He batted all over the place to try and find what the right spot for Sunrisers was. With New Zealand, he bats 3, and that's where he stays. He understands his role, and I think he's pivotal in that partnerships with one of the openers and then Taylor. He looks to be the aggressor. He looks to take the game on and allow whoever he's batting with to fill a complementary role. So I think everyone looks at Williamson and says he is the key to New Zealand innings, even though Taylor's been so successful. I think Williamson is the big wicket, and look for South Africa to try and attack him, to try and break up that partnership, and like we talked about before, put some pressure on that middle order.
Now, Dan, I've been told you've made 2 changes to your playing 11. Henry Nicholls for Colin de Grandhomme and Tim Southee in for Henry. Just a word on Nicholls. If he's in your playing 11, does he open for you or you use him there for the middle order?
Well, I think if Munro's still in the team, they'll leave Munro there. I think the balance is whether Nicholls comes in for a de Grandhomme, one of the all-rounders, or he comes in for Munro at the top of the order. And I think New Zealand will be really keen to get Southee and Nicholls into the tournament, particularly as the games start to get tougher and tougher. They'll want those guys who were for first choice before injury took over, and before Munro and Henry played so well in those first few games. So I think Nicholls could start in that middle order. I think they've got some confidence around Neesham and able to bowl 10 overs, so they won't look to use the Grandhomme as much. So there is a possibility of strength in that middle order with the batsman. Nicholls coming in at 6. Leaving Munro where he is and giving themselves some real depth in that batting order.
Dan, I'll just show you a few numbers as far as New Zealand's pace attack has been, how they've performed in the World Cup so far. They've got pretty much the best strike rate for any pace unit in the World Cup, striking rate at 23.9. They've got 15 innings, they've got 27 wickets as well. Just why you've brought in Tim Southee is also there a reason because Edgbaston is not going to be the kind of green tops New Zealand have played on so far, and thus you need someone with the experience of Southee to purchase the maximum from those conditions?
I think New Zealand would have been very grateful for the surfaces they've played on so far. They've really suited the likes of Matt Henry, bowled so well against Sri Lanka at Cardiff on a surface that really suited him. And I think what New Zealand will be thinking is that this is a long tournament. We can't expect to get 9 games out of our frontline bowlers. Tim Southee is one of our experienced guys. We're going to need some depth bowling at some stage of this tournament because we're going to be put under pressure, and Southee has a lot of experience of that. Bolt has a lot of experience of that, and they have the ability to restrict runs. So I don't think it'll all be about trying to take wickets at the top, because as we're playing better and better sides, what happens at the back of the innings is going to be more and more crucial. So Ferguson's done such a great job. Neesham, obviously, in the last game got 5 wickets. So there's a confidence around that bowling group, but I think once, like we said before, they haven't quite been put under pressure, and this will probably be the first game that they will be put under.
Guys, final word then. Albie, I'll start with you. Historically, South Africa doesn't have a good record versus New Zealand. How are you calling this one?
Right, so I'm going on my gut feel here. I think South Africa they'll beat New Zealand tomorrow. And then also they'll have a good week further on. I think they'll beat Pakistan. And I'm jumping the gun, I'm just saying you what I feel. They'll beat Sri Lanka. And then it's going to boil down to that Australian game again. So yes, in short, I believe South Africa will draw enough confidence out of their last game to beat New Zealand tomorrow. And it's going to be a narrow win.
Albie, us neutrals are not complaining one bit with your futuristic thinking. Dan, for you, how are you calling this?
Look, I think New Zealand really respects South Africa as a team. I think they're a team that's been so hard to play against, and whilst we do have a good record in World Cups against South Africa, that it'll be a game that New Zealanders looking forward to is not the right word. I think that they'll prepare exceptionally well for. They'll be nervous about a lot of South Africa's strengths, but I think New Zealand are a confident team, and they've been a confident team for a long time. So if those usual things come into play, Williamson, Taylor scoring runs, Bolt doing what he does, and some complementary players, then I think New Zealand should feel confident going into this game.
Dan Vettori, Albie, Morkel, guys, thank you so much for joining us as we were building up to what is going to be a really big clash in the Cricket World Cup. New Zealand taking on South Africa. And if we do get a repeat of what turned out to be in the 2015 World Cup semi-final, result going either side, then you're in for a big treat. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.